Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to episode 9 of rebuilding this crash damaged Ducati 899. In the last episode we went over the panels that I'm going to be buying for this bike. It's really exciting because the panel kit is the last kind of thing that's going to go on the bike to make it complete. There was also a lot of things that I didn't do in the last episode that I was meant to have done. This is kind of just a running theme with these videos. Everything gets passed on to the next one because there's just too much stuff to do on this bike. In the last episode, we fitted the handlebars, the control switches and the front wheel, which really made the bike feel like it was coming together. I also went and fitted the new grips and the steering dampener onto the bike, even though the steering dampener isn't properly connected at the moment. Something I was meant to do in the last episode, but I never got around to it, was putting on the back wheel. I was waiting for this 36mm socket to come so I could put the back wheel on without damaging the rear nut. As I explained in the last episode, this is the wheel nut that come off the bike. It was anodized red and it got a bit scratched in the accident. So I went ahead and bought a new one off the internet, but it's also made out of aluminium and it's really soft. I tried to tighten the nut up with an adjustable spanner and it just ended up damaging all the corners. So I had to wait a few days for this 12.36mm socket to come. Now we can go ahead and put the back wheel on the bike. And I've also got these Marchesini rim stickers to go on too. Some other stuff we're going to be doing a bit later on in the episode is changing the oil, changing the coolant and flushing the coolant system. We're also going to be putting a new K&N air filter and fuel filter in the bike. And something I might do when I'm fitting the rear wheel is put these RNG rear track bobbins on the swing arm. Even though it's just one simple nut, I can't wait to get this rear nut on the bike. It's going to make the rear end of the bike look so much fresher. So this is the petrol cap that I took off the bike in the last episode. It had that anodized red paint on it, like so many different parts on the bike had. The reason why I've put paint strip on it and I'm trying to clean it up is because I don't want to buy a new one. It looks like a pretty decent part. It's black anodized and it has Ducati Performance written on it. So I'm going to hopefully put this back on the bike. And we've also got a ton of panels down here that need to be sorted. I'm kind of waiting for the new panel kit to come so I can organise all these panels. Over here we've got loads of carbon trim bits that come with the bike. They're all in really good condition. But because the panel kit comes with loads of these parts as well, we're just going to work out what doubles we've got, put the bits that we want on the bike on, and then put the other, and then maybe sell the other bits that are left over. I still need to really sort out the petrol tank on the bike. At the end of the last episode, I started to strip the paint off the fuel cap. So I'm just going to finish that off and then we're going to get onto the tank. We're just going to have to leave the tank towards the end of the build. Once the new panel set comes, we're going to work out what we're doing with the tank. Now that I've got this 36mm socket, I'm going to go ahead and put the wheels on the bike with the RNG crash sliders and the wheel stickers. So it's really cool to see the bike off the paddock stands, and now it's sitting on the back wheel nice. I still need to make a few adjustments to the chain and sort out a few things, but for the most part the back wheel's on the bike now. And these Roman gold wheels that we've put on the bike look amazing. The next thing I'm going to do while I've got the bike off the track stands is fit these RNG track stand bobbins. Because the track stand bobbins that come on this bike were cheap Amazon ones. and they wasn't matching. The left hand side one got ripped out in the accident, so we kind of made this homemade version just to work while we was fixing the bike. These R&G ones are going to look so much better. Finally, that is the rear wheel on the bike. It took a lot of effort to get the wheel right. With all the bearing issues that we had and all the other stuff, it took a bit longer than expected, but finally the bike is on both wheels now. For anyone watching carefully, you might have noticed I put the rear wheel stickers on the wrong way round. On the back wheel, the stickers are meant to be facing the other way. For now, I'm just going to leave them how they are. At the end of the build, I might buy new stickers and put them the right way round. So the wheels on this bike were a massive headache to get right. Now they're both on the bike, it feels really good. Now that the bike is finally on both wheels, we can take it off the rear stand and push it around. When I'm pushing it, it makes a little bit of noise because the floor creaks, but for the most part, it rolls really smoothly. I'm actually going to go ahead and put the bike back on the track stand because it makes it a lot easier when we're working on the bike. And the petrol cap come out pretty nice too. I think once we put a tank cover on this bike, it's going to look really good. There are a few issues with this tank. As I've already explained, the black line around the bottom needs to be addressed. But there's also something on the underside of this tank that is causing us a problem. I'm going to turn it over and explain. Alright, so what's going on with this tank? So underneath this tank there's a plastic hose connector, and when I tightened up the one that was in here before, the thread snapped off in the hole. Because it's a petrol tank and this piece is made out of plastic, it goes really brittle. There wasn't much that I could do. I tried a few things. I tried to pull it out and knock it out with a screwdriver and pliers. I also cut little slits into it like a groove so I could get a big flathead screwdriver in there and try to unscrew it out. All of it was quite unsuccessful. There was quite a big bit of plastic in there and it was really hard. I also tried to use a pick and a screwdriver to knock it out. I didn't want to use anything too hard or aggressive because I didn't want to damage the threads. And I did think about trying to melt the piece out using a heat gun. Obviously not a flame because it's a petrol tank, but even using a heat gun is really risky. I'd have to completely empty all the petrol out and fill it with water before doing it, which I'm probably just going to leave as a last resort. So the next thing I thought about doing was re-tapping the hole or just running a tap through it just to push all the plastic out. It is what it is. It's unfortunate. I'm not quite sure why Ducati have used a plastic hose fitting inside a petrol tank when it goes brittle. But hopefully the tap should just run straight through and we can get this tank back on the bike. Also in today's episode, I'm getting the fancy Allen keys out because I'm going to be taking off all the brake calipers on the bike. Someone in a previous episode mentioned about taking out the brake pots and cleaning behind them. So the plan is to take off the brake calipers, hopefully be able to remove the pots, clean behind them and maybe replace the brake seals. It should be pretty easy because the brakes have already been cleaned. It is working. With some patience, I'm slowly getting it out. Alright, great news. I got it all out. That's the last little bit that was in there. I've just had a look. The threads are nice and clean, so I'm going to try and put the new hose in. Of course, I had to buy another Loctite product to fit this hose. I was a bit worried that the seal might not be great, and because it's a petrol hose, I want it to be extra good. So I've got some Loctite 577 thread sealant. It's just for petrol threads, anything that's chemical, you can use it on. Just going to put a bit on the threads and then do it up. I've got the caliper off. I've taken one of the seals out and they are absolutely covered in grime. There's loads of like little bits of grit and brake dust on them. So I'm going to take all the seals out the calipers and clean them up. I'm really struggling to get this last brake piston out because when you blow compressed air through it, it now comes out of all the other holes because there's no brake pistons in there. And if I block all the holes with these, it just makes the job really difficult. Because it's hard to pull out, I'm going to try and use a pair of vice grips on it. Because I don't want to damage the piston, I've put some rubber mastic over the ends just to make them basically rubber ended vice grips. I should be able to get a grip on it. Which means I should be able to pull it out. I hope. A little trick I got off the internet. I didn't really know how to remove the brake pistons. If they was hooked up to the brake lines, you'd just pump brake fluid through them and it will push them out. But because they've not been bled yet or had brake fluid put into them, I got this method off the internet. You just basically shove this compressed air nozzle in there and it blows out the pistons. The only thing is, as soon as one piston comes out, then the air can escape from that hole, so it makes it difficult to get the others out. And they end up hitting off of each other. It does actually say to put a block of wood in between, which I'm going to do now. I've done it with the other caliper. It worked pretty well. It got 3 of them out, but it left 1 of them stuck in there. It works. It's very effective. I've got to say, I didn't expect the compressed air to do it as well as it does. Especially because it's not a very good seal vacuum on the end, but it works pretty well. Watch. It didn't work as well as it did the other time. Last time it popped. Watch this. Oh, see? That one flew out. Whoa, another one. Can be quite... That was brake fluid that flew everywhere. Got to be quite careful because it can damage the pistons. They can smack off of each other. But to be honest, it works pretty well. Now you see, it's blown these 2 pistons out. So these 2 are kind of stuck in there now because when you put compressed air in, it just blows the air and brake fluid through that piston hole. So I never had much luck taking the last piston out. On all the calipers I've got one piston stuck. On this one, on the rear caliper, one of the pistons seems really stuck. So it's been a few days and I've ordered a brake piston remover tool. So I'm going to use a little bit of heat with the tool to remove the last brake pistons. This tool was really cheap off eBay. I really hope it works. Once again, I've got the calipers cleaned up. It feels like deja vu doing these calipers again, but it is what it is. I've blown compressed air through the calipers to get any water out and any residue that's left behind. I'm going to leave them in front of a heater just to get them extra dry before I put the new seals and pistons in. The pistons are not actually new. I'm using the old ones. They've been cleaned up. They're in pretty good condition, so I think they'll be fine. To reassemble the brake caliper, it's very important to use brake fluid to lubricate everything up when you're putting it back. And that is the brakes finished back on the bike. And here's the petrol tank. It's had fuel in it for a few days and nothing's leaked out. I can't smell any fuel either, so that's a good sign. The tank still looks in really bad condition. A lot of the black paint's starting to run badly. I'm hoping that the new tank cover that comes with our panel kit is going to cover it all. If not, we're going to have to paint the tank. And that is it for today's episode, guys. In the next one, I'll be taking delivery of the custom panel set that I've ordered. I just received an email saying that they're going to be delivered in the next few days. So that's really exciting. On the screen now, you can see an image of the pictures that they sent me. And I'm really excited to get them on the bike. I've also ordered a set of steel braided hoses for the bike to replace the yellow ones. And like always, there's going to be a lot of jobs to do in the next episode. I'm quite happy with the progress I've been making. In this episode, we've got loads of little jobs done. The next episode is going to be episode 10. So I'm hoping to get the bike build finished in that one. If you've made it this far to the end of the video, thank you very much for watching. And for all the new subscribers and anyone that makes comments and stuff, it really helps, really appreciate it. And I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.